Yesterday we have discussed up to data modeling. Okay, in that we have discussed that as a ETL tester, we are using the star schema in our project. And why we are using the star schema? So it completely depends upon the business requirement. As a ETL tester, we cannot take the decision. Okay, whether one uses star schema or snowflake schema completely depends upon the business need. Now, guys, so here in the interview, they will ask the question that what is the star schema? Because just now we had confirmed that as ETL tester we are using the star schema. So what is the star schema? So here just every one of you just have a look on the below image. So what is the star schema? So it will have centrally located one fact table. Okay, star schema will have centrally located one fact table which will be surrounded by multiple dimension table. Multiple dimension table. Okay. So don't get confused here. Just for graphical representation, I had mentioned 4. In the real-time scenario, it will be between 6 to 10. Okay, that is the average figure. It can be 6 or 7, 8, 9 or 10. Each type of dimension. So what is the star schema? So star schema will have centrally located one fact table which will be surrounded by multiple dimension table. And these all dimension table will be attached to the fact table. Okay. So the arrow line, this arrow line indicates that there is a relation between the table. If there is no arrow line, it means there is no relation. And how they are related? So guys, they are related based on primary key and foreign key relation. Okay, what is primary key and what is foreign key? That is our sequel topic. So in that we will discuss detail later in the practical class. Okay, so this arrow line indicates that there is a relation between the table. If there is no arrow line, it means there is no relation. And they are related based on primary key and foreign key relation. Here, fact table will contain foreign key. Fact table will contain foreign key and dimension table will contain primary key. So how we can remember? So guys, we can remember like FF, fact table, foreign key. Okay, WhatsApp DP, WhatsApp DP. So dimension table, primary key. This is how we can remember that which table which contain what. Now again, I will do a small recap. So what is a star schema? So star schema is nothing. It will have centrally located one fact table which will be surrounded by multiple dimension table, and this all dimension table will be attached the fact table. Here, the arrow line indicates that there is a relation between the table. If there is no arrow line, it means there is no relation. Here, the fact table will contain foreign key, dimension table will contain primary key. How we can remember? We can remember like FF, fact table, foreign key. WhatsApp DP, so dimension table, primary key. Okay. Now, and the structure of this schema look like a star. That's why it is called star schema. Okay. Now, anyone, any question? Anyone, any question? Okay. Okay. Silence means no question. The next one. Next one is snowflake schema. Snowflake schema. So, what is a snowflake schema? So, again, on the same manner, every one of you just observe the below image. So here half of the image, guys, from the left side, half of the image doesn't seem that it look like star schema only. Correct. Half of the image from the left side, it look like star schema only. So what is a snowflake schema? So Snowflake schema is nothing. It is just an extension of a star schema. What is a Snowflake schema? Snowflake schema is nothing. It is just a extension of the star schema. It will have centrally located one fact table which will be surrounded by multiple dimension table, and this all dimension table will be attached to the another dimension table. This blue table indicates that dimension table. Okay, so what is a Snowflake schema? Snowflake schema is nothing. It is just an extension of the star schema. It will have centrally located one fact table which will be surrounded by multiple dimension table, and this all dimension table will be attached to the another dimension table. Okay, so here on the same manner the arrow line indicates that there is a relation between the table. If there is no arrow line, it means there is no relation. You can see between this table and this table there is no arrow line. Correct, there is no arrow line. It means there is no relation between these two tables. If we want to relate these two tables, then we have to follow this path. Okay. Now, so what is the snowflake schema? Snowflake schema is nothing. It will have centrally located one fact table which will be surrounded by multiple dimension table, and this all dimension table will be attached to another dimension table. Here the arrow line indicates that there is a relation between the table. If there is no arrow line, it means there is no relation. On the same manner here, the fact table will contain foreign key and dimension table will contain primary key. How we can remember? We can remember FF, fact table, foreign key. Dimension table, what's the PP? So dimension table, primary key. Okay, and wherever extension is there, so it may contain optional foreign key also. Okay. Now anyone, any question? Okay, silence means no question. Then here one interviewer can ask one question. He will say, is it mandatory that the Snowflake schema will contain only one fact table? Because currently I'm using in my project, there are two fact tables. Okay, so how you have to justify your answer? So you have to say, no, it is mandatory that the Snowflake schema will contain only one fact table. If there is more than one fact table, more than one fact table means what? Means one fact table over here and another fact table over here. Imagine that here, if we have more than one fact table, means maybe 2, 3, 5, it could be anything. Okay, it will be 2. So if there is more than one fact table, then in the technical language, complex snowflake is. It is called as complex snowflake is. Okay, on the same manner, our star schema, guys, it will contain only one fact table. If there is more than one fact table, like maybe one fact table over here and second fact table over here, then in the technical language, it is called complex star schema. It is called as complex star schema. Yeah. Sir, go ahead. I feel that you have the question.
Yeah, Vishnu. So, Vishnu, my first doubt is what is the fact table? Second is
Mhm.
for every project, for every requirement, we have different columns is there. So,
Correct.
only in the single fact table, how we manage all the columns?
Okay.
Because in table also, I think I limited to 56 or some column limitation is there. So, if it is only single fact table, so how we'll manage all the project columns in the single table?
Okay. So your first question, what is a fact table? So what is a fact table? So this we will discuss now only. That is our next topic. Next topic. Okay. And your second question is that from a single fact table, how we will manage multiple tables. Okay. Because we have the limitation with the column. with the table? This is your question. So answer is no. There is no limitation with the column for any table. There is no limitation. And here in the fact table, imagine that here we have four type of dimension table is there. Consider six type because average I had confirmed that the schema minimum 6 to 10 dimension table will be there and one fact table will be there. So for the table name in any table we can have n number of columns. Earlier, if the same question you had asked in 2012, so at that time we had the limitation with the column. At that time in a single table we can have only 16 columns. In a single table we can have max limit was 16, minimum 1, maximum 16. But in 2014 or 17, it has been upgraded to 32. In a single table in Oracle, in a database, we can have up to 32 columns in a single table. Okay. But now in 2018, 17 or 18, it has been upgraded again and there is no limit. There is no limit. A single table can have one column, single table can have 1000 columns. There is no
Sir,
limit.
sir, sir, sir. Sorry to
And
disturb. So here,
after two
columns
minutes, you
means
can.
dimensions.
After 2 minutes, let me finish the answer
Okay,
for this one.
okay,
Then
okay,
you can
okay.
ask the question. Two. So here, if we have four column table, consider example, we have four dimension table and one fact table. So guys, it is mandatory. You can see the arrow line is there. So it is mandatory that we will have at least one common column will be there between these two tables. At least one common column will be there to relate this table. Okay, consider example. In this table, we have the column store ID, store name, store location. Okay, in the customer dimension table, imagine that I have customer ID, customer name, and customer location. Imagine that in the time dimension, I have customer time, okay, customer time, customer year. And here we can say in the product dimension, imagine that I have product ID, product name, product location. So like imagine that these are the columns. So it is mandatory, guys, that in the fact table we will have at least one column will be very common column from this table. Maybe store in the store dimension I have a store ID. So in the fact table I will have one column called store ID. In the customer table I have customer ID. In the fact table mandatory that one column will be customer ID. Okay. Time ID and from the product dimension table again in the fact table we will have product ID. Okay, so it is mandatory that one column will be there. Based on that only, it will be related. Okay, if there is no common column, then arrow line will not be there. Okay, so may I know who had asked the question?
Yeah, Vishnu, that's
Yeah,
me. Doubt is cleared. Okay. So I'm just asking that the columns are equal to dimensions, but in the starting was not clear. The difference between the columns and the dimensions. I thought they were similar, but right now
the
it's
difference
been
between
clear.
column and
Dimension tables.
okay, no. Actually,
Uh,
dimension is the table. It is a table.
yeah, it's a table.
Product dimension, time dimension, customer dimension. It is a table name you can say. Under
Yeah, yeah,
that, the column will be there.
okay, that's
Okay.
clear.
And this is a table name. You can say technically store dimension table name. It is a table name. Column will
Yeah,
be inside that.
okay, yes, yes.
Now, sir, are you clear with the answer?
Yeah, Vishnu, thanks for all clarification. So here, just like you mentioned, this is a store table, this is customer, product, time dimension table is there.
Mhm.
So why we need to join with the fact table? Directly we can join with the customer to store table means and product table. Customer buy any product, so we have the details in the product table and customer detail and store detail here. And one more column there is a transaction detail is there. What customer purchase which product
Mhm.
and which customer from which store and what time we store. So in fact table, can we say it's storing the transaction detail, or what type of detail it will be stored?
Okay. No. Fact table will only be maintained. It is used for maintaining the relation between the table. Okay. Yeah, you are correct. That here we can join the tables and we can have the data like customer dimension table, store dimension table. We can join and we can have the data. That is also the correct approach. Okay. But the concern is that what we have discussed yesterday, that if my table size is bigger, then it will take a longer time to respond. Okay. But if my table size is small, then it responds faster. Correct?
Correct.
Yesterday we have discussed. So if we will join the table, imagine that store dimension, customer dimension, time dimension, product dimension, fact dimension. Imagine that if all the table or minimum two, three table, if we will join, then what will happen? Our table size will get increased and it will take a longer time to respond. Imagine that Harshita is working only for the store dimension table, and in her table, if he have the data related to store dimension only, then she will get the data very fast. But imagine that too. I have what I have done, I have collaborated the data. Means store dimension, customer dimension, and time dimension data I kept into a single table only. And that table I had given to Harshita. Then what will happen? Harshita is still working. He was responsible for store dimension only. But now she is picking the data from that master table which contain all the information related to customer, store, and time. Okay. So due to which she will take a longer time to get response from the database. Okay. So that is the thing. In the real time
Okay.
scenario, we used to merge also. That is not the thing. We used to merge also. We used to keep it separate also. So those people who are responsible for what? Imagine that Balaji is responsible for store dimension, Chitra is responsible for time dimension, Harshita responsible for product dimension, Sarad responsible for customer dimension. So everyone will get this odd table. Okay, but imagine that Lokesh is responsible for master data. So what Lokesh will get? He will get a single table which will contain all this information. Okay?
Okay. Okay, got it.
Now, anyone else also guys having questions? Okay. So just now we have discussed about the star schema, snowflake schema, and complex star schema, complex snowflake schema. In that we have discussed guys fact table, dimension table. The word was coming. So now the question is, what is a fact table? So now every one of you for that first have a look on the below table. So here we have one table. It is ID. ID contains the information 1001, 1002, 1003, okay, and so on. And we have contact number. Contact number contains the information like some 99998888 like that. It contains some contact number. Pin code. Pin code we have 7654568. Okay, 7675890 and so on. Some pin code is there. So what is a fact table? So guys, fact table is nothing. Fact table will have centrally located one fact. It is a centrally located table which will be available either in the star schema or snowflake schema. Fact table, it is a centrally located table which will be available either in the star schema or snowflake schema. It will contain foreign key. Okay, and it will contain only numerical value. Apart from numerical value, it will not contain any data. Okay, means it is mandatory. So like this. So what is the that is the fact table. So what is the fact table? So fact table is nothing. It is a centrally located table which will be available under the star schema or snowflake schema. It will contain foreign key and it is mandatory that it will contain only numerical value. Apart from numerical value, it will not contain any data. Okay. Now, anyone any question? What is the fact table? Okay, I have one question, guys. Then imagine that I have one table. Okay, in that table, imagine that I have 10,000 records. Out of 10,000 records, 9,999 record is a numerical value, and one record is a character value. So, what you guys feel? It is a fact table, yes or no? No justification required, only yes or no.
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 Yeah, correct. So, that is not the fact table. Why? Because in that we have one character value. Character value means you can say Chitra, Hasita, Tulja, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad. Okay, so this type of data is called technically character value. So now, then the next we are going to see. Next one is dimension table. So guys, what is the dimension table? So dimension table is nothing. It will also be available, guys, in the star schema or in the snowflake schema. Dimension table will also be available either in the star schema or snowflake schema. Okay, one minute. Before that, have a look on this table, guys. First, have a look on this table. So here we have ID. ID is how? KAT1001, KAT1002, KAT1003. Okay, and so on. So technically, this type of data is called alphanumeric data. It is called alphanumeric data. At the beginning, we have alphabet KAT1001. It is a numerical value. So technically, it is called as alphanumeric value. And here we have email ID also. Maybe email ID is balaji@gmail.com. Maybe 123jyoti@outlook.com. Maybe chitra127 at gmail.com. It could be anything. Maybe numerical value it is there in the email ID, maybe not. So no issue. Correct. We have pin code also, like some pin code is mentioned, like 765468 and so on. Okay. So technically this is called numerical value. So now what actually the dimension table is? So dimension table is nothing. It is a dimension table will also be available either in the star schema or snowflake. Dimension table will also be available either in the star schema or snowflake schema. It will contain primary key and optional foreign key. And dimension table can contain any type of data. Okay, it can contain any type of data. It may contain alphanumeric value. It may contain special name character value with some special character. Here you can see beginning we have the character value, at the rate is the special character, dot is the special character. Correct. So it may contain character value with some special character. It may contain numerical value. It may contain date value. It may contain decimal value. In one line you can say for the dimension table, guys, there is no limit. It may contain any type of data. Okay, it may contain any type of data, but for the fact table, limitation is there. It will only contain numerical value. Okay, so now, anyone, any question? What is dimension table? Okay, 2 minutes back, I had asked one question. The question was, imagine that I have one table, and in that table I have the data. Okay, that table I have the data, 10,000 records. Out of 10,000 records, 9,999 record is a numerical value. One record is a character value. So what do you guys feel? It is a fact table or dimension table?
It is a dimension.
Dimension table.
Dimension table.
Dimension table.
Yes, guys. It is a dimension table.
Dimension table.
Correct. It is a dimension now. So that is fine. Anyone, any question, guys, from your side? Okay. The next one is normalization. What is the normalization? So normalization is nothing. The process of removing redundancy from the table is called normalization. The process of removing redundancy from the table is called normalization. Redundancy means what? Redundancy means we can say duplicate value. So in the another language you can say the process of removing duplicate value from the table is called normalization. Okay. Or the process of removing redundancy. So redundancy means duplicate value also you can say. Or you can say unwanted value. Okay. So the process of removing unwanted values from the table is called normalization. One answer. Another answer is normalization is nothing. It is a process of organizing attributes of the table of the relational database to minimize data redundancy. And normalization involves decomposing a table into a less redundant and smaller, but without losing any information. So, what does it mean? Okay, for better understanding, let me open one blank Excel file. Imagine that I have one table. It contains some information. Like it contains the data, ID, name, location, email, number, country, club, input. Now guys, imagine that I have one table. It contains close to 10 columns, and imagine that I have in this 10,000 record is there. In the table, imagine that I have 10 columns and close to 10,000 records. So it is a very bigger table and it will take a longer time to respond. Correct. So what is the solution? So imagine that I will break this table as per the requirement. Imagine that we have broken this table in two small tables. Not it is not mandatory that you have to break it in two different tables. You can break it three, four, five up to your choice. So imagine that I am breaking it on two different tables. In that half of the data table will be in one over there and another will be over here. Reduce it so that you guys can see all the columns from both of the table. Okay. So this is the thing. Right? So this is called normalization. What does it mean? So now guys, first have a look. So imagine that I have one bigger table. It contains 10 columns and 10,000 records. So it is a very bigger table. It will take a longer time to respond. Correct. So to respond faster, so as per the requirement, imagine that we have broken this table into two small tables. So what is called normalization? The normalization is nothing. The process of breaking a bigger table. The process of breaking a bigger table into a smaller table is called normalization. The process of breaking a bigger table into a smaller table is called normalization. While breaking a table, we have to make sure that none of the data we should okay, none of the data we should miss. It doesn't mean that guys that we have broken one table like this and second table like this. Okay, and the email ID we had missed or any column we had missed. Then it will not be called as normalization. You have to adjust this email ID in any table, any new table. Okay. So what is normalization? So normalization is nothing. The process of breaking a bigger table into a smaller table, but without losing any information. While breaking a table, we have to make sure that none of the data should be missed. And the very mandatory thing is we should have at least one common column should be there among the new table. One common column should be there. So imagine that ID is there. So imagine that I will consider ID as a very common column for both the tables. So I will keep ID over here. Okay. So imagine ID we had considered as a very common column. So one common column should be there. It is mandate. So the question is why I had considered ID as a very common column. Is there any limitation that we have to pick very particular column for the common column? Can we consider any column as a very common column between the new table? So answer is yes.
ID cannot be repeated.
Yes. 1 minute. Yeah, exactly. So here why I have considered? So guys, there is no limit. There is no limit. Whichever column you want, you can consider as a very common column for the new table. Okay, but you have to make sure the column which you consider as a very common column for both the table, that column should not contain any duplicate value. It should not contain any duplicate value. So here you can see ID. ID will not contain any duplicate value because in a single organization, we can have multiple John. Okay, maybe 5 John is there, but all the 5 John will have different employee ID. Okay, so that's the reason. So ID we can consider as a very common column. So anyone can you please confirm name can be considered as a very common column for the new table? Can we consider name as a very common
No,
column?
no, no. Because name can be
No.
repeated
No,
or
no.
can have similar names.
Exactly.
Sometimes.
Because in a single table, we can have multiple names, multiple people with same name. Location can be considered as a very common column.
No. They are also duplicate
Not
process.
again.
No, no.
Correct. Because there are so many people, there will be so many people who will be from the same location. Email can be considered.
No.
Yes, we can.
Yes,
We
sir,
can
Maybe
consider.
sometimes.
we can because everyone will
Yes,
have
yes.
unique email
Email
ID.
can.
Yes, again, email is a unique thing.
PAN card,
But PAN card
fine.
we can consider.
Aadhaar
PAN card,
card,
yes, we
fine.
can consider.
Yes, PAN card and Aadhaar card.
Aadhaar
Phone
card.
number.
Phone number
Phone
also.
number also.
Yes, we can consider. Technically, it is assigned for one person only. Okay. Then imagine that from the Airtel or from the BSNL, it will be assigned for only one person only. The phone number will be registered for one person only. Correct. It is a different thing that at home we are using a single contact number for multiple bank accounts or for multiple banks. Like imagine that my father is using the same phone number for the OTP. Maybe son is also using the same phone number for the OTP. That is a different thing, but it is assigned for one person. Okay. Now, country can be considered?
No.
No.
No, because there will be so many people from the same country. Okay, and so on. So we can consider any column as a very common column, but we have to make sure that column should not contain any duplicate value. Okay, so what is a normalization? Again, I will do a small recap. So normalization is nothing. The process of breaking a bigger table into a smaller table, but without losing any information, is called normalization. While breaking a table, we have to make sure that we should have at least one common column should be there, and that common column should not contain any duplicate value. Okay, so that is called normalization. So what is normalization? The process of breaking a bigger table. How we have broken the column, guys? column wise like this, okay, then it will be called as normalization. If you will break a table like this, imagine that 5,000 record in one table and remaining 5,000 record in the another table, then it will not be called as normalization. Now, anyone, any question?
So Vishnu, using the normalization, we have created two tables by using the common column. So based on that, this two-dimension table, how we will create the fact table?
No,
Which
this is
common
not a
column?
fact. Mhm. Okay. So, no, this is completely a different thing. It is not a fact table. It cannot get considered as a fact table
Yeah,
because
correctly. This one is a dimension table. So how we will create the fact table based on the this dimension table? Which
no,
common column we will
no.
take in the fact table?
If we want to create, imagine that this is a bigger table. So this is technically it is a dimension table because it contains character, numerical,
Yes.
alphanumeric, special character. Okay. But imagine that from this we want to create a fact table. Then what we have to do? We can pick only those columns which contains numerical value. So a new table with ID, phone number, and PIN. You have to create a new table with only these three columns.
Okay.
Okay. So we cannot take any another column because another column may contain only character value, may contain a special character value, may contain alphanumeric value. It could be anything, but these are the only column which will contain numerical value. So you have to create a new table with only those columns which contain numerical value.
Okay.
Now, rolling back to the topic. So, what is the normalization? The normalization is nothing, the process of breaking a bigger table into a smaller table, but without losing any information. Okay, while breaking a table, we have to make sure that none of the data should be mixed and the new table should contain at least one common column should be there. And that common column should not contain any duplicate one. That is called normalization. Okay, and what is denormalization? So denormalization is nothing, guys. It is just a reverse of normalization. It is just a reverse of normalization. So what does it mean? It means
Vice
adding
versa.
the data from multiple tables. Adding the data from multiple tables. Multiple table means maybe two table, these two table, maybe two table, maybe three table, maybe five table. It could be anything. So adding the data from multiple table to a single table is called denormalization. So that is normalization is breaking the table. Denormalization is adding the data from multiple table to a single table. Okay, so sir, which you were asking the question 15 minutes back that can we have the data in a single table so that we can have all the things. So this is the here. Okay, so that is now anyone any question. Okay, balance means no question. Then just now we have discussed it about normalization and denormalization. Now the next topic is next and last topic is surrogate. Okay, so for better understanding, let me open one Excel file. Because for every topic, guys, example needed a lot. Okay, because sometimes what will happen, the people are not able to grab the thing from the notes or from the topic or the content. It is very common. It is very common thing. But if you will go with example, then it is easy to grab the thing. So that's why for every topic, I used to consider at least one example with real time, with day to day example. That will be easy to grab. Now, rolling back to the thing, surrogate key. So now, what is a surrogate? And these all things we will see with practical, okay, which we have discussed over here: normalization, denormalization, the surrogate key. These all things we will see with practical, which is going to start from tomorrow. So now, what is a surrogate key? What is a surrogate key? So guys, imagine that I have one table in the database. This is the table which is in the database. So why we used to create a table? So guys, we used to create a table to insert some values. Correct. To insert some values. So if imagine that here I inserted a value. ID is 1, name is Tulja. Okay. Location is UK. So whenever we insert any value in the table, automatically one surrogate key will be generated. Automatically one surrogate key will be generated where we will not have any control. Any control means what? Means we cannot modify this surrogate key. We cannot delete any surrogate key. We cannot update or do anything with this surrogate. Imagine that the moment we have inserted one value in the table, automatically one surrogate key generated. How it is generated? Imagine that SD, GH, and so on. Okay, so you thought, no, I don't like this surrogate key. My surrogate key should be some fancy number like A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Is it possible? Answer is no. Why it is not possible? Because surrogate key is system generated. And anything which is system generated, there we will not have any control. It will get automatically generated by the system. Okay. So what is the surrogate key? So whenever we insert any value in the table, automatically one surrogate key will be generated by the system where we will not have any control. Means we cannot alter the surrogate key, we cannot modify surrogate key, we cannot delete surrogate. Again, if I will insert one more value, like mention I raised 2, name is Sharad, okay, location is Nepal. Then what will happen, guys? Again, some surrogate key will be generated. Again, some surrogate key will be generated. Our surrogate key will never be duplicate, even though if we have a duplicate value in the table. Imagine that I have a duplicate value. Then also it will contain some unique surrogate. Our surrogate key will never be duplicate. Sorry, let me remove the comma. It will not contain comma. Okay. So even though if we have a duplicate value in the table, then also we will have unique surrogate. Our surrogate key will never be blank. Imagine that I have the data ID 3, name is Chitra, and location I didn't enter. Then also the surrogate key will be generated, guys. If I have ID, only imagine that ID 4. Okay, no name, no location. Then also some surrogate key will be generated. Doesn't matter in which column the value is. Okay, doesn't matter which column in which column the value is. If the data is there, mandatory one surrogate key will be generated. So what is the surrogate key? So surrogate key is nothing. Whenever we use to insert any value in the table, automatically one surrogate key will be generated where we will not have any control. Any control means we cannot alter the surrogate key, we cannot modify surrogate key, we cannot delete surrogate. Okay, so that is the thing. Our surrogate key will never be duplicate, even though our surrogate key will never be duplicate. Even though if we have a duplicate value in the table, then also we will have unique surrogate. If the data, if in the table some columns are not there, if the some column data value is not there, then also the surrogate key will be generated, guys. Okay, doesn't matter in which column the value is, doesn't matter in which column the value is not there. If in any column of the table, in any column, doesn't matter first table, second column, first column, second column, third column, doesn't matter in which column the data is. If the data is inserted, definitely the surrogate key will be generated. It will never be so surrogate key will guys. It will never be duplicate. It will never be blank. It will never be. Okay. Yeah. Now anyone,
Vishnu,
any question?
yeah, so surrogate key means we can say row ID in the column
No,
in the table.
no, not
Okay.
quite. Row ID
Row
is
ID
what?
also row ID also is generated automatically and it's alphanumeric unique value.
Yes, it contains, but answer is okay.
Okay, so
Because imagine that your name is Sarab. Okay, and someone name is Balaji. You have one nose, two eyes, two ears, and a very big mustache, and so on. And Deep is also having the same thing. I'm also having the same, but we all are different. Technically, we all are different. So that is the thing. Answer is so. Yes, you can say pseudo column. Surrogate key, you can consider it as a pseudo column, but not providing.
okay,
If we edit any of the columns, so still the surrogate key will be the same.
Yeah, no, surrogate key will get updated. It will get changed because this surrogate key, imagine that one Tulja is UK, this surrogate key was assigned for this value only. If you will make any changes over here, here the record will get. Okay. We only imagine that one Tulja UK is there and this surrogate key was generated. And now I want to make change for this surrogate key only. Without changing any this data, answer is no, we cannot change it. But if we'll make any update on any record of the column, then here it will get. Because this surrogate key was assigned for this record.
so that means if we change the first record UK to US, then surrogate key will be generated new.
Yes. It will get changed for the new record. The surrogate key is getting assigned for every record. So one Tulja UK will have one surrogate key, and if we'll make any another changes, like in case of UK I mentioned USA, then here only we will get overrated with some different surrogate.
Okay.
Overrated, not at the down or left or right.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi Lokesh.
Yeah, in server key, like in data warehouse, we mention directly server key, or we mention like a key column like that. What is the column names in ACL type 2 for validation purpose?
Uh, Validation purpose, we are not using the surrogate. We are never
Okay.
using the surrogate key for the validation purpose. Why?
Okay.
Because with the help of because the surrogate key will contain duplicate values in the table. Sorry, the surrogate key will contain duplicate values. Sorry, pardon, my mistake. So surrogate key will not contain any duplicate values in the table, even though if we have a duplicate value over here. Surrogate key will never contain any duplicate value, even though if we have a duplicate value in the table, then also we will have a unique surrogate key. That is the main reason why we cannot consider surrogate key for our data validation. Imagine that I wanted to know what are the duplicate values available in the table. Okay, what are the duplicate values? So here you can see in the table the duplicate value is visible, but in the surrogate key there is no sign of the duplicate. Okay, so we cannot consider the surrogate key for our data validation. This surrogate key, we can utilize it for finding the duplicate value or removing the duplicate values from the table. Okay, at that time. That too is our coming topic, and with practical we will see.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else also having any question? Okay, silence means no question. Then we are done for the day, and we will connect tomorrow, same time, same link. And tomorrow we are good to start with the practical. Okay. Software. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice